Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare Ram,
Ram.
Ram Ram, Hare Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Jai Shri Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Krishna, Krishna
Prabhu
Krishna,
Nityananda
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Advaita
Ram, Hare
Gadadhara Srivasadi
Krishna
Gaura
Krishna, Krishna
Bhakta.
Krishna, Hare Ram.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna everyone. So today is Wednesday, 27th of December. It is the Pausha Masa or Narayana Masa. Today is the first day of the month, and it is Pratipat and Krishna Paksham. So there are no other Vaishnava events. So we shall quickly enter into Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami is narrating to the Savanakati sages about the situation of the Shamika Rishi. So even though he got a little bit of offended, but whatever the sin that his son has committed, so he felt that is a very great comparatively his small things which is negligible. And then he was offering his prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to forgive his child. And then so Sutta Goswami he is saying about the devotees of the Lord, whoever is all the transcendentalists. So what their views are about the duality. So whoever is always in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, either through the who are meditating on the Brahma Jyoti or the Super Soul or the devotees of the Lord, even though they are engaging in the dualities of this material world, they do not take pleasure or they will not be disturbed about the dualities in this material world. Likewise, Sutta Goswami is concluding the 18th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are in the first canto, chapter 18, verse number 50. So which is the last verse. So yesterday, iti putra krita aghena so anutapto mahamunihi swayam viprakrito radha naivagam tad achintayat. So he was not worried about his small thing. So now today, Sutta Goswami says, प्रायशः साधवो लोके परैः द्वन्द्वेषु योजिताः न वितन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यत आत्म अगुणाश्रयः. प्रायशः साधवो लोके, प्रायशः. So prayash is generally sadhava loke. So all these transcendentalists are the saintly people in this material world. Paraihi dvandveshu yojitaha. And even though they are engaged in the duties, either by their own swadharma charanam or by the material duties, if they are employed or anyway, somewhere or other, if they are engaged in the dualities of this material world, paraihi dvandveshu yojitaha. प्रायशः साधवो लोके परैः द्वन्द्वेषु योजिताः न व्यथन्ति न हृष्यन्ति, and they are never distressed nor take pleasure in the material world. They are always equal to both of them. न व्यथन्ति न हृष्यन्ति, they are not distressed nor takes pleasure. Yat atma agunashrayah, because they are atma agunashrayah, aguna, so which is transcendental. It is not the three modes. Aguna ashriyah, which is beyond the three material modes of nature. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdate. So likewise, न व्यतन्ति न पश्यन्ति यथात्म अगुणाश्रयः. So likewise, Suta Goswami is saying to Saunakadi sages, प्रायशः साधवो लोके परिद्वन्द्वेषु योजिताः न व्यतन्ति न पश्यन्ति यथात्म अगुणाश्रयः. So translation for this verse. Generally, the transcendentalists, even though engaged by others in the dualities of the material world, are not distressed, nor do they take pleasure in worldly things, for they are transcendently engaged. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The transcendentalists are the empiric philosophers, the mystics, and the devotees of the Lord. Empiric philosophers aim at the perfection of merging into the being of the Absolute. Mystics aim at perceiving the all-pervading Supersoul, and the devotees of the Lord are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the personality of Godhead. Since Brahman or Paramatma and Bhagavan are different faces of the same transcendence, all these transcendentalists are beyond the three modes of material nature. Material distresses and happinesses are products of the three modes, and therefore the causes of such material distress and happiness have nothing to do with the transcendentalists. The king was a devotee and the rishi was a mystic. Therefore, both of them were unattached to the accidental incident created by the supreme will. The playful child was an instrument in fulfilling the Lord's will. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Maharaja Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in this verse, the Suta Goswami is explaining that Prashah sadhavo loke paridbhandveshu yojitaha na vetanti na krishanti yatatma agunashriyaha. The transcendentalists, they are equal to the duo. Either it is a distressful situation or a happy situation. So they are equal. They are always samasatravocha mitrecha tata manapa manayoho. Sitoshna sukadukeshu samasanga vivajjitaha. This is the Krishna's statement. Samasanga vivajjitaha. There, samasatrocha mitrecha tata manapa manayoho. Sitoshna sukadukeshu samasanga vivajjitaha. So in the similar way, tulya ninda sutirmauni aniketaha santusto yena kenachit aniketaha stiramatihi bhaktiman me priyo naraha. Such kind of people are very dear to me. Tulya, they are equal. Ninda stuti, even though they are insulted or if they are glorified. Or mauni, they are always silent. Tulya ninda stirmauni santusto yena kenachit, they are always satisfied. Aniketaha stiramatihi. Aniketaha stiramatihi. They are always having, they do not worry about even their residence, and they are situated stiramatihi, full determination. Bhaktiman me priyo naraha. Such kind of people are direct to the Lord. So here, Shamika Rishi is the mystic, and Parikshit Maharaj is a devotee. So the both are beyond the three modes of nature. So here, when Kapila Bhagavan, he mentions in the Sankhya philosophy, and Devahoti was asking, can you please tell me what are the different paths to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So he explains about the Sankhya philosophy, and also later on, Devahoti asks, can you please also explain which is easy for me to attain the Supreme? So then he explains about the Bhakti Yoga. So initially he explains a little bit, and then Devahoti asks. So later on, after explaining both of these things, he explains that Bhakti Yogasha Maya Manavi Udiritaha. This Sankhya philosophy and also devotional service. Bhakti Yogasha Maya Manavi Udiritaha. Yayoho Ekaterenaiva. Out of these two, Ekaterenaiva, if you take one of these things, Purusham Rajet, you will attain the supreme abode of the Lord. Purushaha, Purusham Vrajet, you will attain that supreme person. Bhakti Yogasya Yogasya, Maya Manavi Budiritaha. Yayoho Yekatereneva, out of these two, one of it. Purushaha Purusham Vrajet, he will attain that supreme person. So here, the Yogasya, the mystic, he is also always concentrating and meditating on the supreme personality of Godhead in the four-handed form. Whereas the Bhakti Yoga, so he worshipped the Lord in the deity form. That is the Bhakti Yoga. So here Parikshit is connected to the Supreme Lord in the as a devotee, and here the mystic, the Shemik Rishi, he is meditating on the Supreme Person as a Paramatma. He is the mystic. He is in the second level. So both are transcendentalist here. So likewise, Sudha Goswami is saying here, प्रायशः साधवो लोके परिद्वन्द्वेषु योजिताः न वितन्ति न पश्यन्ति यथात्मा agunashrayah. They do not take pleasure in this material world because they are transcendently situated. So that is Saiva Bhakti Yogakya Adhyatmika Udahuritaha. That is the devotional service. Yena Tivrajyat Yugunam Madbhavaya Upapadhyate. So that is everyone, all these people, somewhere or other, they are trying to cross these three material modes of nature. These are all transcendentalists. So with this one, we have completed 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. And we'll take recitations on coming Saturday after regular session. And then tomorrow we are going to start 19th chapter. Okay, so that is from Srimad Bhagavatam. प्रायशः साधवो लोके परिद्वन्द्वेषु योजिताः न वितन्ति न पश्यन्ति यथात्म अगुणाश्रयः. Okay, so we shall quickly enter into Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. So today it is letter to Advaita, November 23rd, 1969, London. It's a small letter. Can I request any dear devotees to read this letter?
I will read, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
My dear Advaita, please accept my blessings. The letter dated November 19, 1969 is in hand. The thing is that you have asked me so many questions, but it is not possible for me to manage all departments of our society. Practically, you are in charge of the press department, but it is better to form immediately one press committee consisting of you, Satsarupa, Brahmananda, and whomever else you like, and do it nicely. How things should be done, I have given you suggestions, but it is not possible for me to divert my attention. Then my real work will suffer. I have written a letter to Pradyumna, but there is no reply as yet. Anyway, from the practical point of view, it appears that we cannot depend on him for composing work. So, in consultation with others, you arrange for other means. I have already advised Satsurupa in this connection. If Sriman Chandanacharya is busy in some other work, then Aravinda can wholly be engaged in Boston layout work. I have already asked him to go there. I have also noted down the lawyer's instruction that outside work can be taken if the profit does not go to some individual person. I think if it is legally possible, this is all right. I have no objection if you make some profit on outside work. That is very nice. My only point is that we have got our press for printing our own literatures more and more. We should not miss this point. Otherwise, combinedly together, do it nicely. I shall be very much pleased to see things are going correct. Please offer my blessings to Balai Dasi, Nandini Dasi, and others. I hope this will meet you all in good health. Your well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Any takeaway points, Prabhuji?
My takeaway points is Prabhu, like Prabhupada is giving a couple of instructions, which is I think it's good to know that whatever we do, it's nice to form a kind of committee, a group of people that we can able to discuss and make the things much better in that way that everyone feel that they got importance in the work what they're doing, and then suggestions can be discussed and then they can make it things much better. And the second thing, Prabhupada emphasized on literature. So he is more interested in publishing his books that can be published as much as possible, that can be distributed worldwide. So Prabhupada mission is always that we want to publish more books, that everyone should have at least one book in their home that they can read. In that way, they can be more Krishna conscious. That's also the main purpose of his preaching methodology, that to publish more books that can reach to more people. In that way, people can understand the God, Krishna, and then they can life is successful. That is purpose mission, and then Prabhupada emphasize that mission in his letter. Prabhu. That's my understanding, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very beautifully summarized. Any other points, dear devotees? Yes, and also Prabhupada is mentioning sometimes the devotees, they wanted to support the society by financially, so they take the work outside and then they'll sacrifice their income for the society. So Prabhupada is also appreciating that kind of things, as long as the internal affairs, management affairs are not hampered. That is very, very important. So money, somewhere or other, it will come. But when things are going on, so then Prabhupada has no objection. So that is also one point. When the new temples or new societies are being emanating from the new devotees, then this point is very, very important. I have no objection if you make some profit on outside work. So this is very nice. Okay, so that is my takeaway points. And from the announcements point of view, so today evening we have got Kirtan evening at 8:30 p.m. Tomorrow Krishna Katha, and then regular events. So there are no changes so far. And now we have got teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the first chapter of teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That's all from me. And dear devotees, if you have got any updates, kindly share. Otherwise, we shall move on to the next part of our program. Okay, so thank you everyone. So next one is the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, let me just going into this one. So today, Radha Sevka Mataji is not here yet. So meanwhile, we shall start this edition. Okay, so chapter 1, teachings to Rupa Goswami. So today, who is reading today? Sanchita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Baba, yes. Hare Krishna dear devotees, yeah, I'm ready.
Thank you, Mataji. So when you're ready, so would you start
Yeah,
this?
okay.
Mataji?
Okay.
Yeah, ready.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 1, Teachings to Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami, the younger brother of Sanatan Goswami, went to Prayag, the modern city of Allahabad, with his younger brother Ballava. When the two brothers heard that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they both became very much pleased and went to see the Lord. At that time, the Lord was on his way to visit the temple of Bindu Madhava. On the way to the temple, the Lord was chanting and dancing, and thousands of people were following him. Some were crying, and some were laughing. Some were dancing, and some were singing, and some were falling on the ground. offering obeisances to the Lord, and all of them were roaring the holy name, Krishna, Krishna. It is said that in spite of being at the confluence of the river Ganges and Yamuna, Prayag was never flooded until the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at which time the city was overflooded by love of Krishna. The two brothers, Rupa Goswami and Vallabha, stayed aloof in an uncrowded place and witnessed the great crowd and wonderful scene. When the Lord danced, he raised his arms and shouted, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The people all about him were astonished to see his activities. Indeed, the wonderful scene is difficult to describe. After reaching the temple, the Lord accepted prasadam, food offered to the deity. At the house of a Deccanist southern Brahmana with whom he was acquainted. While sitting alone at the Brahmana's home, the Lord was visited by Rupa Goswami and Vallabha. From a distance, the two brothers fell down on the ground to offer obeisances, and they chanted many Sanskrit verses from the scripture. When the Lord saw Rupa Goswami offering obeisances before him, he became very pleased and said, My dear Rupa, please get up. The Lord then informed Rupa Goswami of the causeless mercy of Krishna upon him. For Krishna had just delivered him from the materialistic way of life, which is based simply on pound, shilling, pence. The Lord accepted the two brothers as his devotees, and he cited a verse from the scriptures stating that the Lord will not accept a Brahmana who has studied the four Vedas if he is not a devotee, but he will accept someone from a very low family if he is a pure devotee. Then the Lord embraced the two brothers, and out of his causeless mercy, he touched their head with his lotus feet. Blessed in this way, the brothers offered to the Lord in their own words. The prayers indicated that Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself, that he had assumed a fair complexioned form, Gauranga, and that he was the most munificent incarnation of incarnation of Krishna, because he was distributing love of Krishna. Sri Rupa Goswami also recited a verse later found in the book Govinda Lilamritam 1.2. Yogyanam mattam bhuvanam dayalu ulaghayannapi karot parattamam swaprema sampad sudhayadbhutam Shri Krishna Chaitanyam amum prapadye. Let me surrender unto the lotus feet of Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the greatest, most merciful personality of Godhead. He delivers those who are merged in ignorance and offers them the highest gift, love of Krishna, and thus makes them mad after Krishna consciousness. After this incident, Ballabhatta invited the Lord to go to other side of the Ganges, and the Lord went. On this trip, Rupa Goswami accompanied the Lord, and indeed, wherever the Lord went, Rupa Goswami would follow him and stay with him, because the Lord felt inconvenienced in crowded places. He asked Rupa Goswami to accompany him to a place on the banks of the Ganges known as Dasa Ashwamedha Ghat. For 10 days, he instructed Rupa Goswami about the truth of Krishna, the principles of devotional service, and the transcendental mellows, relationships with Krishna. All of this was described in full detail so that in future Rupa Goswami could write the signs of Krishna in his book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Srila Rupa Goswami described this incident in the first verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in which he speaks of the causeless mercy of the Lord upon him. The Supreme Lord is cognizant and all-powerful, and by his causeless mercy, he empowers a living entity to receive his mercy. People in general, being under the spell of conditioned life, are averse to rendering devotional service and practicing Krishna consciousness. They are unaware of the teachings of Krishna consciousness, which reveals one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the process by which one can return to the spiritual world and the ultimate goal of life, which is to return home back to Godhead. Because these things are unknown to the conditioned soul, Lord Chaitanya, out of his causeless mercy, instructed Rupa Goswami in the principles of devotional service. Later, Rupa Goswami distributed the science to the people in general. In the prologue to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.2, Rupa Goswami described Lord Chaitanya as follows: Hridiyasya preranaya pravartito aham varaka rupopi tasya harer padakamalam vande Chaitanya devasya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Deva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he has inspired me with the desire in my heart to write something about devotional service. For this reason, I am writing this book on the science of devotion known as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Beginning his 10 days of continual instructions to Rupa Goswami, Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Rupa, the science of devotional service is just like a great ocean. So it is not possible to show you its entire length and breadth. But I shall try to explain the nature of that ocean by taking just one drop out of it. In this way, you can taste it and understand what that ocean of devotional service actually is." The Lord then explained that within this Brahmanda or universe, there are innumerable living entities who, according to their own fruitive activities, are transmigrating from one species of life to another, and from one planet to another. In this way, their engagement in material existence has continued since time immemorial. In actuality, these living entities are atomic parts and parcel of the Supreme Spirit. It is said that it is said in the Svetashvara Upanishad that the length and breadth of the individual soul is 1 by 10,000th part of the tip of a hair. The atomic magnitude of the living entity is confirmed in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 11.16.11. In the 10th canto 10.87.30, Sanandana Kumara, while performing a great sacrifice, quotes the following statement by the personified Vedas: "O Supreme Truth, if the living entities are not infinitesimal spark of the Supreme Spirit, each minute spark would be all-pervading and could not be controlled by a supreme power. But if the living entity is accepted as a minute part and parcel of the Lord, one can automatically understand how he is controlled by the supreme power. The latter is his actual constitutional position, and if he remains in this position, he can attain full freedom. If one mistakenly considers his constitutional position equal to that of Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes contaminated by the doctrine of non-duality, and his efforts in transcendental life are rendered ineffective." Lord Chaitanya continued his teachings by pointing out that there are two kinds of living entities, the eternally liberated and the eternally conditioned. The eternally conditioned living entities can be divided into two types, the moving and the non-moving. Those that remain in one place, trees for example, are classified as sthavar or non-moving entities, and those that move, such as birds and beasts, are called Jangama or moving entities. The moving entities are further divided into three categories: those that fly in the sky, those that swim in the water, and those that walk on land. Out of the many millions and trillions of living entities on land, human beings are very few. Out of that small number of human beings, Most are totally ignorant of the spiritual science, are unclean in their habits, and have no faith in the existence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In short, most human beings live like animals. Therefore, these can be deducted from the number of human beings that constitute civilized human society. We have hardly found any human beings who believe in Vedic scriptures and the existence of God, or even in proper behavior. Those who do not believe in these things and in advancing in spiritual life are called Aryans. Out of those who believe in scriptures and the advancement of human civilization, there are two classes, the righteous and the unrighteous. Those who are righteous generally execute fruitive activities to derive some good result for sense gratification. Out of many such persons who engage in righteous activities for sense gratification, only a few come to know about the absolute truth. These are called Gyanis, empiric philosophers in search of absolute truth. Out of many hundreds and thousands of such empiric philosophers, only a handful actually attain liberation. When one is liberated, he theoretically understands that the living entity is not composed of material elements, but is spirit soul, distinct from matter. Simply by understanding this doctrine, even theoretically, one qualifies as a mukta or a liberated soul. But the actual mukta is he who understands his constitutional position as part and parcel of the Lord and as his eternal servant. Such liberated souls engage with faith and devotion in the service of the Lord, and they are called Krishna Bhaktas or Krishna conscious persons. Krishna Bhaktas are free from all material desires, although those who are theoretically liberated by knowing that the living entity is not material but may be classified among liberated souls, they still have desires. Their main desire is to become one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons are very much attached to performing Vedic rituals and righteous activities in order to enjoy material propensity. Even when some of them transcend material enjoyment, they still try to enjoy in the spiritual world by merging into the existence of Supreme Lord. Some of them also desire to attain mystic powers through the execution of yoga. As long as any of these desires are within a person's heart, he cannot understand the nature of pure devotional service, and on account of constantly being agitated by such desires, he is not peaceful. Indeed, as long as there is any desire of material perfection at all, one cannot be at peace. Since the devotees of the Lord Krishna do not desire anything material, they are the only peaceful persons in this material world. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayanah sudurlabha prasantatma kotishva api mahamune. O great sage, out of many millions of liberated persons and persons who have achieved success in mystic yoga, it is very rare to find one who is completely devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is therefore filled with peace. Lord Chaitanya next explained that of many thousands and millions of living entities wandering in the material world, one who, by the grace of Lord Krishna and the spiritual master, gets the seed of devotional service is very rare and fortunate. A pious or religious man is generally inclined to worship deities in various temples. But if by chance, even without his knowledge, he offers his obeisances and worshipful respects to Lord Vishnu and receives the favor of Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, at that time he acquires the asset necessary to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is plainly understood from the history of the great sage Narada, which is related in Srimad Bhagavatam. By serving Vaishnavas in his previous life, Narada was favored by those devotees of the Lord and became the great sage Narad Muni. Vaishnavas are generally very compassionate towards the conditioned souls. Without even being invited, a devotee will go from door to door to enlighten people, to bring them out of darkness of nascence by imparting knowledge of the living entity's constitutional position as a servant of Lord Krishna. Such devotees are empowered by the Lord to distribute devotional consciousness or Krishna consciousness to the people in general. They are known as authorized spiritual masters, and it is by the mercy of such spiritual masters that a conditioned soul gets the seed of devotional service. The causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is first appreciated when one comes in touch with bona fide spiritual master, who can enlighten the conditioned soul and bring him to the highest position of devotional life. Therefore, Lord Krishna said that by the mercy of spiritual master, one can achieve the causeless mercy of the Lord, and by the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can attain the mercy of the bona fide spiritual master. Thus, by the mercy of spiritual master and Krishna, one receives the seed of devotional service. Then one has to sow the seed in the field of his heart, just as a gardener sows the seed of a valuable tree. After sowing the seed, one has to water it by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Supreme Lord, and by taking part in discussions about the science of devotional service in a society of pure devotees. When the plant of devotional service sprouts up from the seed of devotion, it begins to grow freely. When it is fully grown, it surpasses the length and breadth of this universe and enters the transcendental atmosphere of the spiritual world, where everything is bathed in the effulgence of the Brahmajyoti. The plant penetrates even the Brahmajyoti and gradually enters the planet known as Golaka Vrindavan. There the plant takes shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the ultimate goal of devotional service. After attaining this position, the plant produces the fruit of love of Godhead. To taste this fruit, however, it is necessary for a devotee or transcendental gardener to water the plant daily by chanting and hearing. Unless one waters the plant by chanting and hearing, there is every chance that it will dry up. Lord Chaitanya pointed out to Rupa Goswami that there are another danger to be encountered while watering the roots of the devotional plant. After a plant has grown somewhat, an animal may come and either eat it or destroy it. When the green leaves of a plant are eaten by some animal, the plant generally dies. Thus, one has to take precautions so that the plant of devotional service is not disturbed by animals, which represent offenses. The most dangerous animal is a mad elephant. For if a mad elephant enters a garden, it causes tremendous damage to plants and trees. An offense to a pure devotee of the Lord is called Vaishnava Aparad, the mad elephant offense. In the discharge of devotional service, an offense to the feet of a pure devotee creates havoc and stops one's advancement. Thus, one has to defend the plant of bhakti by fencing it off properly and taking care not to offend pure devotees. Then the plant of devotional service will properly be protected. An offense to a pure devotee is one of the 10 offenses against the holy name. The first offense is to blaspheme the great devotees who have tried to spread the glories of the holy name all over the world. The greatest offender at the feet of the holy name is the rascal who is envious of such devotees. The holy name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna, and the Lord Krishna cannot tolerate offenses against a pure devotee who, following the order of his spiritual master, is spreading the holy name all over the world. The second offense is to deny that Lord Vishnu is the absolute truth. Since there is no difference between the Lord and his name, qualities, form, and pastimes or activities, one who sees a difference is considered an offender. The Lord, being supreme, is no one. The Lord being supreme, no one is equal to or greater than him. Consequently, one who thinks that the name of some demigod is equal to Lord's name is an offender. The Supreme Lord and the demigods should never be considered on the same level. The third offense is to consider a bona fide spiritual master to a common man. The fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature, the Vedas, and such corollaries as the Puranas. The fifth offense is to consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggerations. The sixth offense is to imagine a perverted meaning of the holy name. The seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. It is understood that by chanting the holy name, one is freed from sinful reactions, but this does not mean one should be perversely act sinfully on the strength of chanting. That is the greatest offense. The eighth offense is to equate chanting the holy name with religious rituals, austerity, renunciation, or sacrificial performances. Chanting the holy name is as good as associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas these pious activities are only means of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they can be performed for some material reasons. This is an offense to equate them with chanting the holy name. The ninth offense is to preach the glories of the holy name to God, to a faithless person. The 10th and the last offense is to maintain material attachment even after hearing the chanting the holy name of God. The idea is that by chanting the holy name without offense, one is elevated to the liberated platform, where one is freed from all material attachments. Thus, if one chants the holy name and still has material attachments, he is committing an offense. There is still other factors which can disturb the plant of devotional service. As this plant grows, the weeds of material desires may also grow. When a person advances in devotional service, it is natural that many persons will come to him requesting to become disciples and will offer him some material gains. If one is attracted by a large number of disciples, offering material conveniences and forget his duty as a bona fide spiritual master, the growth of the plant will be impeded. Simply by taking advantage of material conveniences, one may become addicted to enjoying material comforts. Other impediments are to desire liberation or material name and fame by discharging devotional service, or to neglect the prohibitions. These prohibitions are mentioned in the authorized scriptures. One should not indulge in illicit sex, intoxications, gambling, eating meat. Indeed, one should not eat anything other than Krishna Prasadam, food offered to Krishna. These are the restrictions for one who is attempting to advance in the devotional service. If one does not follow these principles strictly, there will be severe disturbance in the discharge of devotional service. If one is not particularly careful, by watering the plant of devotional service, one will instead nourish the weeds described above, which will then grow very luxuriantly and hamper one's progress. The idea is that when one waters a garden, not only does the desired plant grows rapidly, but the unwanted plants grow also. If the gardener does not see these weeds and cut them down, they will overgrow and choke the plant of devotion. It is thus duty of the neophyte devotee to cut down all the weeds that may grow by the watering process of devotional service. If one is careful to guard against the growth of these weeds, the plant of devotion will grow luxuriantly and reach the ultimate goal, Golaka Vrindavan. When the living entity is engaged in devotional service, relishes the fruit of the love of Godhead, he forgets all religious rituals aimed at improving his economic condition. He no longer desires to satisfy his senses, and he no longer desires to become one with the Supreme Personality by merging into his effulgence. There are practices leading to spiritual knowledge and transcendental bliss, including the ritualistic sacrifices recommended in the Vedas, the execution of austerities and pious duties, and the practice of mystic yoga. These all reward different results to their performers, but all these rewards appear to glitter only as long as one is not elevated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Love of God is dormant in everyone, and it can be awakened from its dormant position by the execution of pure devotional service. Just as a person bitten by a serpent and fallen unconscious can be revived by smelling ammonia. After speaking in this way about pure devotional service, Lord Chaitanya began to describe that service and its symptoms to Rupa Goswami. He explained that in pure devotional service, there can be no desire other than the desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, there is no scope for worshipping any demigod or even any other form of Krishna, nor is there room for indulgence in speculative empiric philosophy, nor fruitive activities. One should be free from all these contaminations. A devotee should accept only those things that are favorable for keeping his body and soul together, and should reject those things that increase the demands of a body. Only the bare necessities for bodily maintenance should be accepted. By making one's bodily necessities secondary, one can primarily devote his time to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness through the chanting of the holy names of the God. Pure devotional service means engaging in all in sorry pure devotional service means engaging all one's senses in the service of the Lord. At the present moment, our senses are all designated because the body is designated. So, if we think that a body belongs to a particular society or a particular country or a particular family, in this way, the body is bound by so many designations. Similarly, the senses belong to the body, and when the body is subject to such designations, the senses are also. Thus, one engages the senses on behalf of family, society, nation, and so on. When the senses are so engaged, one cannot cultivate Krishna consciousness. The senses must be purified, and it is possible when one purely understands that he belongs to Krishna and that his life belongs to Krishna. In other words, that his identity is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. In this way, one engages his services in the service of the Lord, and such engagement is called pure devotional service. A pure devotee accepts the transcendental loving service of the Lord, but rejects all kinds of liberation of his personal sense gratification. This is stated by Lord Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, 29.11 to 14. In his explanation of the nature of pure devotional service, as soon as a pure devotee hears the glories of the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart, his mind at once flows towards the Lord. Just as the waters of Ganges flow down towards the sea, such spontaneous attraction of the devotee's mind to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead signifies pure devotional service. Devotional service is pure when one engages in the service of the of the Supreme Lord without any selfish motive and without being hampered by any material impediments. The pure devotee does not desire to live on the same planet as the Supreme Lord, nor does he desire the same opulence as the Lord, nor does he desire to have the same form as the Lord, nor to live with him side by side, nor to merge into his existence. Even if the Lord offers the pure devotee such rewards, he rejects them. The point is that a pure devotee is so much absorbed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord that he has no time to think of any benefit beyond his immediate engagement. Just as an ordinary materialistic businessman thinks of nothing else when he is absorbed in his business, a pure devotee, when engaged in the service of the Lord, does not think of anything beyond that engagement. One who possesses the symptoms described above has been elevated to the topmost position of devotional service, and it is by such transcendental loving service alone that one can surpass the influence of Maya and relish pure love of Godhead. As long as one desires material benefit or liberation, which is called the two witches of allurement, one cannot relish the taste of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord. There are 3 stages of devotional service. The first stage is the beginning stage of cultivation. The second stage is the realization of service. And the third, the supreme stage, is the attainment of love of Godhead. There are 9 different methods of cultivating devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. And all these processes are employed by the neophyte in the first stage. If one is engaged in chanting, hearing with devotion and faith, his material misgivings gradually become vanquished, and his faith in devotional service increases more and more. He becomes assured of a higher perfectional position. In this way, one becomes firmly fixed in devotional service, increases his taste for it, becomes attached to it, and feels ecstasy, the preliminary stage of love of Godhead. Attainment of ecstasy is produced by executing this process of cultivating devotional service. When one continues the process of hearing and chanting, attachment to Krishna gradually thickens and at last is called the love of Godhead. In the stage of transcendental love of Godhead, there are further developments known as transcendental affections, emotions, ecstasy, and extreme intense attachment. These are technically known by the terms raga, anuraga, bhava, and mahabhava. The progress from one stage to another is like the thickening of the sugarcane juice. In the first stage, sugarcane juice is a thin liquid. When, by evaporation, it becomes thicker and thicker, it turns into molasses. Then it turns into granules of sugar, then rock candy, and so on. Just as sugarcane juice progresses from one stage to another, similarly, transcendental love for the Supreme Lord develops by stages. When one actually becomes situated on the transcendental platform, he becomes steady. Unless one is so situated, his position is not steady and he may fall down. When one is actually situated transcendently, there is no fear of falling down. This stage is technically called Sthai Bhava. There are further developments within this stage known as Vibhava, Anubhava, Satviki, and Vyabhichari. When these 4 ingredients are added to the steadfast position of pure transcendental life, there is actually an exchange of rasa, or transcendental mellows, with the Supreme Lord. This exchange in loving reciprocation between the lover and the beloved is generally called the Krishna Bhakti Rasa. the transcendental taste of exchanging loving sentiments between the devotee and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It should be noted, however, that the transcendental loving exchanges stands on the steadfast position of Sthai Bhava, as explained above. The basic principles of Vibhava is Sthai Bhava, and all other activities are auxiliary for the development of transcendental love. The ecstasy of transcendental love has two components, the context and the cause of excitement. The context is also divided into two parts, subject and the object. The exchange of devotional service is the subject and Krishna is the object. His transcendental qualities are the causes of excitement. This means that when a devotee who becomes enamored by the transcendental qualities of Krishna becomes excited to serve him. The impersonal Mayavadi philosophers say that the absolute truth is nirguna, without qualities, but the Vaishnava philosophers say that absolute truth is described as nirguna because he has no material qualities. This is not to say that he has no spiritual qualities. Indeed, the Lord's spiritual quality are so great and so enchanting that even liberated persons become attracted to him. This is explained in the Atma Rama verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7.10, where it is said that those who are already situated on the platform of self-realizations are attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna. This means that Krishna's qualities are not material, but are pure and transcendental. The highest stage of ecstasy is characterized by following the 13 transcendental activities: dancing, rolling on the floor, singing, clapping, stretching the body, thundering, yawning, breathing heavily, forgetting social conventions, drooling, laughing, shaking the head, and hiccupings. All these symptoms are not awakened simultaneously. They appear according to the exchange of the transcendental mellows. Sometimes one symptom is prominent and at another time another is prominent. There are 5 transcendental rasas or mellows. The initial stage is called Santarati, wherein one is liberated from the material contamination, appreciates the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who attains this stage does not exactly engage in transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the neutral stage. In the second stage, which is called Dasyarati, a person appreciates his position as being everlasting subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and he understands that he is eternally dependent on the causeless mercy of the Supreme Person. At that time, there is an awakening of natural affection, such is felt by a son who grows up and begins to appreciate his father's benedictions. At this stage, the living entity wants to serve the Supreme Lord instead of serving Maya, illusion. The third stage is the development of transcendental love, is called Sakyarati. In this stage, one associates with the Supreme as a friend on an equal level, with love and respect. As this stage is further developed, there is joking and such relaxed exchanges as laughing. On this level, there are fraternal exchanges with the personality of Godhead, and one is free from all bondages. One forgets his inferior position as a living entity, but at the same time, he has the greatest respect for the Supreme Person. In the fourth stage, called the Vatsalyarati, the fraternal affection of the preceding stage develops into parental affection. At this stage, the living entity acts as a parent of God. Instead of worshipping the Lord, the living entity as a parent of Supreme Person becomes an object of worship for him. At this stage, the Lord depends on the mercy of his pure devotee and puts himself under the control of the devotee to be raised nicely. Such a devotee can embrace the Supreme Lord and even kiss his head. In the fifth stage, called Madhurarati, there is transcendental exchange of conjugal love between the lover and the beloved. It is at this stage that Krishna, the damsels of Braja, glance lovingly at one another. For on this platform there is exchange of glances, movements of eyebrows, pleasant words, attractive smiles, etc. Besides these five primary rasas, there are 7 secondary rasas, which consists of laughing, wonder, chivalry, pity, anger, ghastliness, and devastation. For example, Bhishma related to Krishna as the warrior in the chivalrous rasa. Hiranyakashipu, however, experienced an exchange of the ghastly and devastating rasa. The 5 primary rasas constantly remain within the heart of a pure devotee, and the 7 secondary rasas sometimes appear and disappear to enrich the flavors and the taste of the primary ones. After enriching the primary rasas, they disappear. Examples of Santa Bhaktas or devotees in the neutral stage are the sages known as the 9 Yogendras, namely Kavi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabuddha, Pipalayana, Abhirhotra, Dravida, Drumila, Chamasa, Karabhanjana, and Karabhanjana. The 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, and Sanatana, are also examples of this stage. Examples of devotees in the second stage servitorship are Raktaka, Chitraka, and Prataka. No, sorry, Patraka. These are all servants of Krishna in Gokula. In Dwarka, there is Daruka. And in Vaikuntha planets, there are Hanuman and other devotees in the third stage. Friendship includes Sri Dama in Vrindavan and Bhima and Arjuna in Dwarka, or on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As for those relating to Krishna in parental love, they include his mother, father, uncle, and similar relatives. In conjugal love, there are damsels of Braja, Vrindavan, the queens in Dwarka, and the goddess of fortune in Vaikuntha. No one can count the vast number of devotees in this rasa. In general, attachment to Krishna is of 2 kinds. The first kind is attachment with awe and venerations, characterized by the lack of freedom. One such attachment is exhibited in Mathura and on the Vaikuntha planets. In these abodes, the Lord, the flavor of transcendental loving service is restricted, but in Gokula, Vrindavan, love is freely exchanged, and although the cowherd boys and damsels of Vrindavan knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they do not show awe and veneration because of the great intimacy of their relationship with Him through thick and thin. In the 5 principles transcendental relationships, awe and venerations are sometimes impediments to one's service to the Lord. When there is friendship, parental affections, and conjugal love, such awe and venerations are impediments. For example, when Krishna appeared as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki, they prayed to the Lord with awe and venerations because they understood that the Supreme Lord Krishna or Vishnu had appeared before them as a little child. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 44, verse 51. Devaki and Vasudeva, knowing their son to be Supreme Personality of Godhead, began to pray to him, although he was present before them as their child. Similarly, when Arjun saw the universal form of the Lord, he was so afraid that he begged pardon for his dealings with Krishna as an intimate friend. As a friend, Arjuna often behaved unceremoniously with the Lord, and upon seeing the awesome universal form, Arjuna said, Sakheti matva prasabham yad yuktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanta mahimanam tavedam maya pramadat pranayane vapi. My dear Krishna, sometimes I insulted you by calling you my dear friend Krishna, without knowing the greatness of your inconceivable power. Please forgive me. I was mad to address you like a common friend or a common man. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 41. Similarly, when Krishna was playing jokes on Rukmini, she feared that he might leave her and become so perturbed that she dropped the fan with which she was fanning him and fainted. Her hair scattered as she fell unconscious to the floor, like a plantain tree blown down by the blast of wind. But as far as Yashoda, Mother Krishna in Vrindavana is concerned, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, verse 45 states, Traya Traya चोपानि चोपानिषद्भिश्च साङ्ख्ययोगायश्च सत्त्वातैः उपागीयमान महात्म्यं हरिं समयात्माजम्. Mother Yashoda thought that the personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by all the Vedas and Upanishads, as well as by the Sankhya system of philosophy, and all authorized scriptures, had been born from her womb. It is also stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, verse 14, that Mother Yashoda bound the child Krishna with a rope as if he was an ordinary son born of a body. Another description of Krishna's being treated as an ordinary person appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 18, verse 24. There it is stated that when Krishna was defeated in games with his friends, the cowherd boys, he had to carry Sridhama on his shoulders. Regarding the gopis dealing with Shri Krishna in Vrindavan, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 30, verses 36 to 38 describes how when Shri Krishna took Shri Radhika alone from the rasa dance, she proudly thought, my dear Lord Krishna has left other gopis, although they are as beautiful as I am, and he is satisfied with me alone. In the forest, she told Krishna, my dear Krishna, I am unable to move anymore. Now, if you like, you can take me wherever you desire. Krishna replied, you can climb on my shoulder. But as soon as he said this, he disappeared. Whereupon Srimati Radhika repented very much. When Krishna disappeared from the scene of the rasa dance, all the gopis began to lament, saying, dear Krishna, we have come here and left aside our husbands, sons, relatives, brothers, and friends, neglecting their advice. We have come to you, and you know very well the reason for our coming here. You know that we have come because we are captivated by the sweet sound of your flute. But you are so cunning that in the dead of night you have left girls and women like us. This is not very good of you. The word sama means controlling the mind and keeping it from being diverted in various ways while fixing it on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, one whose mind is fixed on the Supreme Lord is situated on the Sama platform. On that platform, devotee understands that Krishna is the basic principles of everything within our experience. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 19. After many, many births of cultivating knowledge, one who has attained real knowledge surrenders unto Vasudeva, Krishna, because he can understand that Krishna is present in everything, that he is distributed all over the cosmic manifestation, although everything is under the Supreme Lord and is situated in his energy. Everything is nonetheless different from Krishna in his personal form. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that the platform of Sama on which one understands that Krishna is the basic principle of everything. It is the same Santarati. Unless one is elevated to the platform of Santarati, one cannot be fixed in knowledge of the greatness of Krishna or the diffusion of his different energies, which are the cause of all manifestations. This same point is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 19, verse 36. Samo man nishtata buddhir dama indriya samayamaha titaksha dukkha samarsho jivha pasto jayo dhritihi. Sama, equilibrium of mind, is achieved by one who has concluded that Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of everything, and when one can control his senses, this is called Sama. When one is ready to tolerate all kinds of suffering, to control the senses and keep the mind steady, that is called titiksha or tolerance. And when one can control the urges of the tongue and genitals, that is called dhritihi. One who has attained dhritihi is a dhira, a pacified person. A pacified person is never disturbed by the urges of the tongue and the genitals. One who can fix his mind on Krishna without deviation attains Santarasa, the steadfast position in Krishna consciousness. One in Santa Rasa exhibits two qualities: unflinching faith in Krishna and the cessation of all material desires. These specific characteristics of Santarasa, unflinching faith in Krishna and the cessation of all desires, not connected with Krishna, are common to all other rasas as well. Just as sound is present not only in the sky, where it is produced, but also in all other elements: air, fire, water, and earth. So these two characteristics of Santarasa are also present in Dasya Rasa, servitorship, Sakhya Rasa, fraternity, Vasalya Rasa, parental affection, and the Madhura Rasa, conjugal love. When we speak of desires not connected with Krishna or non-Krishna, this does not mean that anything exists without Krishna. Actually, there cannot be anything non-Krishna because everything is a product of the energy of Krishna. Since Krishna and his energy are identical, everything is Krishna indirectly. For example, consciousness is common to every living entity, but when consciousness is entered solely on Krishna consciousness, it is pure. And when consciousness is entered on something other than Krishna, or when it is directed to sense gratification, it may be called non-Krishna consciousness. Thus, it is in the polluted state that the conception of non-Krishna comes. In the pure state, however, there is nothing but Krishna consciousness. Active interest in Krishna and the understanding that Krishna is mine and that I am Krishna's, and that my business is therefore to satisfy the senses of Krishna, is the typical of a higher taste than the neutrality of Santarasa. Simply by understanding the greatness of Krishna, one achieves the status of Santarasa, in which worshipable object may be impersonal Brahman or Paramatma. Worship of the impersonal Brahman and the Paramatma is conducted by those engaged in empiric philosophical speculation and mystic yoga. But when one develops even further in Krishna consciousness or spiritual understanding, he can appreciate that the Paramatma, or the Super Soul, is his eternal worshipable object and master, and he surrenders on to him. Bahunam janmanam ante Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, verse 19. After many births of worshipping Brahman and Paramatma, when one surrenders unto Vasudeva as the supreme master and accepts himself as the eternal servant of Vasudeva, he becomes a great transcendently realized soul. At that time, due to his intimate relationship with the Supreme Absolute Truth, a devotee begins to render some sort of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the neutral relationship known as the Santarasa is transformed into Dasya Rasa, servitorship. On the platform of Dasya Rasa, one exhibits the greatest quantity of awe and venerations for the Supreme Lord. That is, in Dasya Rasa, one appreciates the greatness of the Supreme Lord. It should be noted that on the platform of Santarasa, there is no spiritual activity, but on the platform of Dasya Rasa, service begins. Thus, in Dasya Rasa, the quality of Santarasa is exhibited, and in addition, there is consciousness of transcendental taste of service. In Sakya Rasa, fraternity, the transcendental qualities of Santarasa and Dasya Rasa are certainly present, but beyond these, there is another quality, confidential attachment, which is pure transcendental love. This confidential attachment for the Supreme Personality is technically known as Vishrambha. On the platform of Vishrambha, there is no sense of awe and veneration towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, in the transcendental fraternal relationship, Sakya Rasa, there are three transcendental characteristics and the sense of greatness, the sense of service, and the sense of intimacy, without awe or veneration. Thus, Sakya Rasa adds one transcendental quality to the qualities of Santa and Dasya Rasa. Similarly, on the platform of parental affection, Vatsalya Rasa, there are four qualities. In addition to these qualities already mentioned, there is a sense that the Supreme Lord is dependent on the mercy of the devotee. As a parent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee sometimes chastises the Lord and considers himself the Lord's maintainer. This transcendental sense of being the maintainer of the Supreme maintainer is very pleasing to both the devotee and the Supreme Lord. The Lord instructed Srila Rupa Goswami to write transcendental literature named Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, and indicate therein the subject of five transcendental relationships with the Lord, Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhura Ras. It is explained in that great literature how the transcendental relationship of Santarasa, taking the shape of unflinching faith in Krishna, is further developed into Dasyaras with the spirit of service, and then to Sakyaras, or undeterred fraternity, and further to the transcendental platform of parental love, wherein one feels himself to be maintaining the Lord. All these transcendental relationships culminate to the highest platform, conjugal love, Madhura Ras, wherein they all exist simultaneously. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amoga Prabhu, for sharing this long chapter. I'll try to summarize as much. It was a lot to absorb, like in 10 days, as I was mentioning yesterday. Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave all the teachings that he gave to Rupa Goswami to inspire him to write the book called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And in that he mainly explained the 10 offenses, the different transcendental mellows, and the constitutional position of the living entities. So basically it started with when Rupa Goswami with his younger brother, he went to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag, which is the modern city of Allahabad, with his brother Ballava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was like with all his followers, they were in ecstatic mood, singing, dancing, and both Rupa Goswami and his brother, they were really astonished to see them, how they're falling on the ground. Some were crying, some were paying obeisances. roaring the holy name of Krishna. Soon, the two brothers met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and paid their obeisances, which really okay. Before that, I think Lord accepted, after this Sankirtana movement, Lord accepted prasadam at one of the his devotees' house in southern India, which is a Brahmana, whom he knew, and there the Lord was visited by Rupa Goswami and Vallabha. And the two brothers, they paid obeisances that chanted the Sanskrit verses, offering the obeisances. The Lord was very pleased with the two brothers, and he gave his causeless mercy by touching their heads with his lotus feet. After this, the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sorry, I'm just trying to recollect everything that I've read, and I'm just sinking in quite slowly. So Rupa Goswami, in his prayers, mentioned that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in his fair complexion, Gauranga. And it's mentioned in one of his books called the Govinda Lilamritam, where Rupa Goswami mentions that he surrenders to the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the greatest and the most merciful personality of Godhead. And he is the one who delivers us from the ignorance and offers the greatest gift, which is the love of Krishna. After this incident, Rupa Goswami accompanies Lord to the other side of Ganga, and where Lord gives him all this knowledge at the on the banks of Ganges, which was called the Dasam Ashwamedha Ghat. And for 10 days, he instructed Rupa Goswami with the truth of Krishna, the principles of devotional service, and the transcendental mellows. And just trying to the Lord explained. Okay, after that, Lord explained Rupa Goswami about this creation and how we are, our constitutional position is like there's big Brahmanda where there are innumerable entities, and where due to their karmic reaction, they transmigrate from one species to another, from one planet to another, and this keeps on continuing. And this is mentioned in the Svetashwara Upanishad. And it mentions what is the soul, the individual soul, which says that it's 1/10,000 part of the tip of the hair. And that has the power, which attracts to the Paramatma. And once it attracts the Paramatma, then only we can do justice to this body. He explains that we are just the body, and one can get freedom from this body once he understands the constitutional position that we as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and due to our karmic reactions, we get contaminated, and we don't understand that in the duality that the Lord, we are different. It's the Achinta Bheda Tattva, that we are same at the same time, different from the Lord. As we are part and parcel of the Lord, so we are a spark. So we are one with the Lord, but we are different because Lord is complete. He has got all the 6 opulences, but we just are a minute part of the Lord. We are just Anu. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that there are 2 kinds of entities, the eternally liberated and the eternally conditions. And in the eternally conditions, he divides into the different species, like one are the moving species, one is a non-moving species, where They're plants, they are called the stavara. And the moving species has got three categories, like the birds and the beast and the other moving entities. These are again categorized as those who can swim, those who can fly, and those who can walk on the land. And in this, he explains that there are so many millions and millions and trillions of species. It's only very few who can understand the constitutional position of the Lord. Others, they are not at all, like they don't understand who is Lord. And even if they understand, they are more interested in learning the Vedic scriptures and becoming one with the Lord, like the Brahman realization. So they are the Gyanis, but it's only a tiny percentage who can understand his constitutional position, that we are part and parcel of the Lord and we are his eternal servant, and only they are called the Krishna Bhaktas. And these are the Krishna Bhaktas who are free from the material desire, who are free from the material desires, and all they want is to serve the Lord. And then he moves on to explain that then he moves on to explain that Lord does not, he's not very happy with the Gyanis, like whether he has got a higher birth or a lower birth. If the person has that ability to serve the Lord, he will be very close to the Lord. And like he gave the example of Narad Muni, how in his previous life he was just a low born, but by serving the Vaishnavas, he got that mercy and he became a great sage called Narad Muni. So it's very important. Vaishnavas are very important and compassionate people. They want to free all our conditioned soul. And what they do is they go door to door to enlighten people from the darkness of nations by imparting the knowledge of the living entities. And this is only happened through the causeless mercy of the Lord. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the mercy of the spiritual, and of course with them, these people are the spiritual masters. So only by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya and spiritual master, one can attain the mercy of one can attain, liberate this body and go to the Golaka Vrindavan. And then he moves on to explain that this seed of the devotional service is called the Bhakti Lata Bij, and it is sowed in the heart. And like a gardener, he waters the plant. So one has to keep on watering this by chanting and hearing the holy name of Lord Shri Krishna. And only then, and in the association of pure devotees, only then the devotional plant will sprout up. But at the same time, he mentioned that there can be two kind of things which can happen. Like if an animal he eats the plant, then this is gone. We lose the plant. So these are basically the 10 offenses. And then he moves on to explain the 10 offenses. And we know about the 10 offenses. I'm not going to the details of them. And the other kind of thing that can happen is that the plant can be, as the plant is growing with, while we water the plant, there can be weeds which can grow. So these weeds, they also destroy. These are the material desires which can also grow. So as person advances devotional service, one has to cut all these weeds and take care to cut these weeds. Otherwise, his whole purpose of this life, this gets impeded, and he will never advance in devotional service. And how Prabhupada has given us these 4 principles. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given these prohibitions that one must follow the scriptures, like not to indulge in illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, or meat eating, and have only Krishna Prasadam. Only then one can advance in devotional service. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that the love of God is dormant in everyone, and it is awakened by the execution of pure devotional service. Like he's given an analogy of a person who is bitten by a snake. What happens to that person is he falls unconscious, but he can be revived by smelling ammonia. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes the symptoms and his services and the symptoms to Rupa Goswami. How, as a person advances devotional service, his the necessities change from his bodily necessities, what the material desires. It becomes a bare minimum necessity, and he becomes more as he moves more to the transcendental. As he attains more of the transcendental knowledge, he absorbs him in bliss, and his bodily needs become less and less. And those are the signs of the signs of a pure devotee. And then I think I should have just read a paragraph and then summed up. It would have been easier. And then he explained the 3 stages of the devotional service. First stage is the cultivation, second stage is the realization of service, and the third stage is the attainment of love of Godhead. In the first stage, he explained the 9 process of bhakti which we follow to be steadfast in this beginning stage. One has to be engaged in chanting and hearing, to be giving up our material misgivings, and then so that we increase, and as the faith increase, the more and more he gets the higher stage. In the higher stage, he feels ecstasy. And then as we continue hearing and chanting, the attachment to Krishna gradually thickens. And he has given this example of like the sugar cane, like initially how the sugar cane is thin liquid, and as it evaporates, it becomes thicker and thicker and turns into molasses, and then the granules of the sugar and becomes like the rock candy. Similarly, our bhakti, like in the initial stage, we just we chant and do all the other activities with so many offenses, but as we keep on hearing and chanting and remembering Lord, our bhakti thickens and we attain the higher stages of bhakti. So, and then that is, this is called the sthai bhava, which is the further development, and there are different paths, which are the vibhava, anubhava, sattvic, and vyavichari, which are the 4 ingredients which makes up a steadfast in pure transcendental rasa. And in this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained that it has got 2 paths, like when one is the subject and Krishna is the object. So the exchange of devotional service, when we try to exchange a devotional service, we are the subject, but our main focus is Krishna, so he is the object. And he has given the example that the Mayavadis, he called Lord as Nirguna, but for them the word Nirguna means without any qualities. But for a Vaishnava philosopher, Nirguna means that Lord has got no material qualities. All he has is got the spiritual qualities. So it's only when one is such liberated that he gets so attracted to the Lord and he becomes Atmarama. So in the higher state of ecstasy, he has given 13 transcendental activities like dancing, rolling on the floor, singing, clapping, stretching the body, thundering, yawning, breathing. And these are the symptoms of a Uttam Adhikari, like we can only read about it. And Please excuse my ignorance. I'm not even qualified to read about them. And then he goes on to explain the 5 transcendental rasas, like the Santa rasa, the Dasya rasa, the Sakya rasa, and the Madhurya rasa. So each stage, he explains that as we progress in bhakti, the each stage adds one more transcendental quality than the one before. So in the Santa rasa, when one is just liberated from his material contamination, he just knows to appreciate the Lord. And in this stage, he has given the examples of the 4 Kumaras. In the Dasya rasa, we have the example of Hanuman, who wants to be like subordinate of the Lord, to be like eternally serving the laws on the causeless mercy of the Supreme Person. In the 3rd stage, it's the development of the transcendental love. It's called the Sakya Ras. In the stage, he like the Gopas, and they consider like the friend of the Lord. They are in equal stage. They don't have awe or reverence for the Lord. Like, he gave the example that in a game, when they were playing with Lord Krishna lost, and he was kind of like punished by lifting Sridhama on his shoulder. So, and the other stage, the 4th stage, is the Vatsalya Rath, where the Lord is treated as his affectionate child, and like Mother Yashoda, she thinks that I'm his mother and I have to look after him. She even chastises him, like we know the sweet Damodar Leela, and where but the mother is the object and Krishna is the subject. Like she treat mother and father, they treat Krishna as like even though the other people, they worship Krishna on all the pastimes and the leelas he does in Vrindavan, but still she thinks that the Lord, if whether he has eaten properly, whether he's looked after properly, and that's called the Vatsalya Rasa. And the 5th stage, the highest stage of transcendental exchange, is the Madhura Rasa, where there's a conjugal love between the love, like a lover and beloved. And in this, the examples of the damsels of the gopis of Vrindavan is given, as well as the queens of Dwarka, where there are loving exchanges which happens between a lover and a beloved, with attractive smiles and pleasant words. So I think that's the one. Let me see. And he explains that though our consciousness, every person has got some kind of consciousness, but if we don't have the desire to connect to Krishna, then it's called non-Krishna consciousness. But when we have this desire to connect with Krishna and his energy, because Krishna and his energy is identical, they are non-different, and only then we become Krishna conscious, our soul becomes Krishna conscious, and we get to enjoy this eternal bliss. So that's all my taken from this chapter, Prabhu. Sorry, I made so many mistakes. I should have just summed up after each paragraph and each important teachings which Rupa Goswami was given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And all these points he had, after listening to them, he had written in the book series called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Sanjita Mataji, thank you so much. I think that the second time you did it, it went in even deeper. It's just the real, it's like nectar when you speak, and it's like you speak once and then you speak again, and it's just so beautiful. I know it seems really like deep, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is very deep. Yeah, that's true.
It's really deep.
Thank you, Mataji, for giving me the opportunity.
No, I think it's just so exciting to hear from you, and
Yeah, it's only that, like, I realized if we had done it as part, like, when he had given the 10 offenses, and then he explains our constitutional position, the Brahman, and the individual entities, how the living entities, where we are, our position, even as a Krishna, whether we are Krishna conscious or not, all that. And then he went on to the 5 stages of the transcendental mellows, all that. So if I had summed up, it would have been better, but just done it.
Mataji, I have one question.
Been more organized, but thank you. Hare Krishna.
No, I think the reading is because we're listening, and it's really powerful. There's just one question. You know that last bit? Do you
Yes.
have any, where it says, like, or does anybody, does anyone have it? Like, it says, Lord instructed Rupa Goswami to write the transcendental literature, and then it goes on to say, it kind of goes on to say that everything exists in Madhurya Ras. Is that, or everything culminates in Madhurya Ras? What does that mean? Like,
so this last paragraph, maybe I'll read it, and maybe I'll get the Lord instructed Sri Rupa Goswami to write the transcendental literature named Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, and indicate therein the subject of the 5 transcendental relationships with the Lord: Santya, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhura Ras. It is explained that in that great literature, how the transcendental relationship of Santaras, taking the shape of unflinching faith in Krishna, is further developed into Dasyaras with the spirit of service, and then to Sakyaras, the undeterred fraternity, and further to the transcendental platform of parental love, wherein one feels himself to be maintaining the Lord. All these transcendental relationships culminate to the highest platform, conjugal love, wherein they all exist simultaneously. So, Mataji, I think he, as I was mentioning, like, one stage, of course, it develops into another, as is higher than the another. Like, when we from the if we take as a dasya, so it has got the qualities of santa as well. So when it moves to sakya, so it has got the qualities of both santa and dasya, and the special qualities of sakya, like treating, there's no awe and reverence in that. And then when it moves to Vatsalya, it has got, of course, no awe and reverence, and the other two, but as well as treating Lord as the subject. He's not the object. Like, for us, Lord is an object, object. We worship Krishna, but then Mother Yashoda, she is treating Krishna as his son. So that is the Vatsalya ras. But when it moves to the higher stage, which is the Madhura, it has got everything, and then treating Krishna as one's lover. So it has got, so that's why I think the last line mentioned that it culminates on the higher platform. So it culminates in the sense that it has got all the qualities of all the other 4 rasas, and then it is still the Madhura ras, which is the highest stage, like, where because when one worships, not worships it, Krishna is like, as we say in, like, mundane language, the other half or the partner. So treating Krishna as that, like the gopis thought, like, they had left everything. So then Krishna, not any of the lower rasas, so it's the highest. So that's why it culminates. I think that's what my realization is, Mataji, but of course anybody else can elaborate on that.
so it's just so difficult. I mean, is it like a step effect? Like, we're on Santa Ras, and then we develop the qualities, or a person, or a person that's practicing Krishna consciousness develops those qualities, and then moves on to the next stage, and then moves on to the next stage. And then by the time you've, like, reached all those, then all of that grows into Madhurya Ras. Or is it that everyone, like, people are at Madhurya Ras, but then they have different aspects of all the,
it could, I don't know, I think the second one, because the feeling in the I mean, of course, we cannot compare with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, because, you know, he, as he has mentioned earlier in this chapter, like all the transcendental qualities of the highest, like the Uttamadhikari, how the 13 qualities where they are crying, dancing, drooling, getting unconscious, and all that. That is a completely different stage, ecstatic stage altogether. But all these, the mellows, I think. It's the feeling in each devotee's heart, I guess. Because suppose if we consider Hanumanji, so Hanumanji, you know, he wanted always to be as eternal servitor of Lord Ram. So when, Lord Ram was leaving Hanuman was left, he said, he'll always be serving me, remembering me. So it's not that Hanuman also wanted to be in the same planet or go with Lord Ram. So similarly, like Mother Yashoda, she never had that, if I may say, the Madhurya Ras, like she did not treat Krishna as a lover. Like, she was a mother who loved and chastised Krishna at the same time. And similarly, like the Gopas, they would not treat Krishna as their lover. They would still be as a friend. They would joke and, like treat Krishna as a friend and as equal. So
apart from Balram was in all the rasas.
yeah, Balaram, of course, he was the elder brother, and of course he had his own rights. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know. It's only somebody senior can explain, but that's what I understood. I think these rasas are different. I think it's only the first one, which is a Shantaras, like where the sthai bhav, like we have, one has to be steadfast, like to enjoy the mellows, the transcendental mellows. Like before that, it's the Brahman realization where I don't know whether I should call devotees or not, but they want to be one with the Lord. They want to live in the same planet. They want to be in Vaikuntha. They want to, like, but of course they fall down, right? Once all their austerities they have done, it's it's vanished. They fall down, but it's not sthai. So they don't understand the mellows because they don't get to do any devotional service. All they want is to get liberated, mukta. Of course, they do have awe and reverence for the Lord, but that's not it's not fixated. So for the first one, that quality everybody has, but I think everybody, in the meaning that devotees developed like from as a Madhyamadikari onwards, I would say they have some kind of steady doing devotional service, some kind of steady relationship with Krishna. But after that, I think it's the individual way how the mellows, the bhakti lata beej, I would say, the seed spreads, and every plant is different. Like every plant and their fruit and their fragrance, it's different. No two plant is similar. So similarly, I think this mellows, they are different, if I could say that, but I am not sure. Mataji.
Oh, it's so deep, isn't it? It's like, so say I know these are like really weird questions, but say for example, like the living entity goes into different bodies depending on its desire or what have you, like at the end of death. So that everyone experiences that. So in the same way, how does, like, say a spirit, like one of Krishna's associates, like say for example in like Krishna Lila, Balram is his brother and he's also got the paternal, and then at another stage he's a gopi. Like where is that transition? Is it that it's in that same relationship, or is it that they've taken another appearance? Or I know it says like it's all simultaneous, but like it's hard to kind of, is it that in one lila it exists in one way, then in another lila it exists in another way?
Yes, Mataji, I would say it depends upon the pastimes. It not in one lila would be it to be same. Like if we just, if I just don't speculate and go by the pastimes of Krishna. So, you know, of course, and then he did mention, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did mention that apart from the 5, there are 7 others, like, where he explained that some admire Krishna as a chivalrous, like, and then some like Hiranyakashipu, like his show their anger. So those are the different other quality. Yeah. So where was it? I'm just trying to go in my thing.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
seeing it
So
in the middle.
yeah. Just to say, there were 7 qualities mentioned, but I lost the paragraph I was reading.
The equilibrium of the mind. No.
No, it's not the summer one.
Yeah, there's another 7 is a secondary rasa.
Yeah, yes, secondary 7, Prabhu. Yes.
Yes.
Which paragraph? I just.
Besides these 5 primary rasas, there are 7 secondary. It's
Yeah,
it's
Mataji, if you have
underneath.
found it, please read it. So
Besides these 5 primary rasas, there are 7 secondary rasas which consist of laughing, wonder, chivalry, pity, anger, ghastliness, and devastation. For example, Bhishma related to Krishna as a warrior in the chivalrous ras. Hiranyakashipu, however, experienced an exchange of ghastly and devastating rasas. The
yeah,
5
so from this,
primary rasas.
yeah, so from this we, I mean, of course, the primary and the secondary.
Yeah, it does say that the 5 primary rasas constantly remain within the heart of the pure devotee. So the 5 main ones are all, I'm just thinking, they're always present in that, whoever that devotee is. And then the 7, they sometimes appear and disappear.
Then they go, yeah.
So that any pure devotee constantly has within them those 5 main Santa, Madhurya, on all those rasas. So
yeah, Vatsalya. Maybe Ratan Prabhu, he can throw more light on this. Whether it's 5 rasas in one devotees in one lifetime, or how is it? So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Actually, it's a lovely question. Actually, I like to think similar way. I should ask why Madhurya is so highest level. This thing I was expecting to ask, but anyway, due to consideration of time, I did not ask. It's a lovely question is asked. You can find more details in Nectar of Devotion. Is very nicely as I was mentioning. Actually, one to another is why it is higher. Why is higher, but we cannot compare. As I mentioned, we cannot compare Madhurya and Vatsalya. Even Radha and and Radharani love. We cannot make comparison because all are different level, different way, but we are right to make comparison. But the think about on the Bhogaroti, there is some highlight you can find. Sole wale laddu khai, Puka, the Madhumangal, or they are his friend is king. And why this Radhika cooking of Radhika? Why taking Radhika cooking? Her cooking was given offered to Krishna. Why? Because he has all kind of, even he has motherly, friendly, joking, whatever is laughing, teasing, everything is there. So that is a madhurya we cannot understand in it has to maybe one devotee no is a, not only the one devotee even many lifetime when Jashoda and Nanda Maharaj Devaki how many lifetime they prayed to become as their mother. So it's not suddenly to take okay one of the devotee no is not many lifetime they have to meditate they have to pray they have to do they have to think about it is not suddenly it's not coming. So it's not cheap thing. So it's many deep way to understand it. So that is why our Acharya Jivan Prabhupada mentioned, don't go to Canto 10 because first we have to understand until 1 to 9 canto Bhagavatam then. But anyway, we can get idea from a nectar of devotion. It was written very details. Why one component is adding to another, Santarash, Dasha, Shakha, and everyone. One component is addition. So that is why Madhurya, it is complete. It has friendship. It has motherly. That is, you remember about you meditate on the bhajan of Bhogarati. So that is Radhika was taking care all kind of things. Even mother, how taking a mother, how he cope with deep attention and making joke, making friendly, everything is there, nothing missing. So, but in the Gopi Bhava, we can think about it, but we cannot become as a Gopi Bhav. It's very high level. Hare Krishna.
Very well. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, that explains.
There was something that I was trying to do the slides for yesterday, and there was one thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the end, and he said, Lord Chaitanya also recommended that the highest mode of worship in the highest perfectional stage is the method practiced by the damsels of Vraja. These damsels, gopis or cowherd girls, simply loved Krishna without motive for material or spiritual gain. Chaitanya Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless narration of transcendental knowledge, and he pointed out the highest goal in human life is to develop unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So going back to Ratan Prabhu's question, that why is Madhurya Ras the highest? Is that the answer? Because the gopis love Krishna without any motive. But then, so surely the other rasas must also, I don't know.
Gopi Bhavo, because Prabhupada, another one you can follow this bhajan of our Acharya mentioned. Rupar Nago, Moti. Rup Sanatan, we have to follow them. And even though it is highest, but we cannot imitate them. We can't imitate them, but we can follow their why their love is so highest, why they are giving everything. Like another example, you remember there's a dust of Narada Muni asking for a headache of Lord Krishna, but even Narada Muni did not give. No other, only Gopi they gave. Why they gave? They think about even Narada Muni asks, you know what is your ultimate result if you are giving dust to Lord? They think, what is my result? I am not thinking. If my Lord is become happy, if it is his headache or his any kind of happiness, for us, even going to hell does not matter. So this is the highest level, highest understanding. We cannot think about it. Because we are thinking, if I go to hell, if I suffer, I am thinking myself, not to how to giving little pleasure to him. So that is the one example, even giving dust for Lord Krishna to overcome his headache. So gopis never think about their consequence, even they are going to hell, doesn't matter. This is the highest level of understanding of love, real love. So it's not coming suddenly, it's many lifetime, many lifetime. Krishna.
Yes, that's very true. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, because in this slide also, which Mataji is sharing, it says the damsels, the gopis, simply loved Krishna, which is Gopi Bhav, without any material or spiritual gain. Also, like for us, like that's what Prabhu is saying, that we cannot understand. We're not even qualified to think about this in this lifetime. So, although it's the highest, but now we still have this what should I say, selfish motive of spiritual gain, at least. Why are we into Krishna consciousness? We had to gain something transcendental knowledge to understand the bliss. We have this motive. It's not that we have come here without any motive, like, so, but at the highest stage, it's not like that. So without any spirit, forget about material. They don't. So if they're serving the Lord, it's without anything personal. Otherwise, some of the gopis who were married, like coming to dance with Lord Krishna, not thinking about their own, dignity, or what would happen, what would their husband say, and also they never thought about all that. So, so all this they had without any spiritual gain. Also, that is very important.
Yeah, actually, that is the actually pure love, pure devotional services, unmotivated, uninterrupted. Uninterrupted, we have to think of without any interest, without any motive. Because our motive is how to gain business. If I Lord give me something, I will give little thing. If I Lord give, there's a business. If I am getting something, maybe business is end, we stop. So it should be without any interruption. Even the result is coming negative, even I have to laugh. Even Lord Krishna give up, even we are thinking, even Biraho is the highest love. Even at that time, gopis always think about Krishna. This is a dense love. So they never forget about Krishna. Even Krishna going outside from them, but they are thinking to high level of thinking. Even in the Russia, even Krishna was hide going outside. Even that at that time they imitate about how imitate means that they are doing, one was doing how Krishna was doing, how they are dancing, even they are going to tree. Did you see my Krishna? Even going to deer, did you see my Krishna? Even they are coming together. They said, "Oh, you are very lucky. You are very fortunate. You can do husband and wife. You are, um, you can see Krishna together, but we cannot see." Even they are going to seaside, riverside, Jamuna. They are thinking on the sand, on the water. They are asking, "Have you seen my Krishna is coming here?" So always they are thinking about Krishna. It means is uninterrupted. This word also very very important, and unmotivated means also because we have lot of motive. Because we have to go to back to Godhead. We don't like to suffer. We have to enjoy there because our motive. But in the Gopi Bhakt, they have no desire, nothing else. Only to giving pleasure to Krishna. For that, they can give everything. So that is the unmotivated, uninterrupted. So it's a condensed love. Hare Krishna.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes, that's the absolute truth. Yeah, we are not qualified to understand that. We just can read and share this transcendental bliss. But yeah, at first few stages, like we can, but even that is quite high. Like to first is sthai bhav. I mean, to make it steadfast. Even that takes such a like with offenseless. When we say this Panchatattva mantra, we ask for forgiveness, and even if when I see these 10 offenses, even if we don't commit the first 9, if we try to avoid the last one, we are always like we still, at least I can tell about myself that we are always committing the last offense. So what was that?
The distraction one.
Yeah. So it's so we cannot say like ekagra, like all the rounds we do, like we cannot say the every time we are. So it's not sthai. Even the first stage, the santarash, I don't know. It's difficult to explain, Mataji. I don't know. That's how I
No,
feel.
I completely get you. Like, I was just thinking, when I was doing this yesterday, when I was reading it, I was thinking, oh my God, like, I'm nowhere near, like, even the first few stages. Like, I still have negative thoughts, and, like, I'm not, even though it's much easier now, it's much better, but it's like, oh, I still like, if given the how advanced, like it takes ages. Yeah.
The 10th offense is 10th and the last offense is to maintain material attachments even after hearing after hearing the holy name of the God. So we are all, I mean, most of us do it, like we still have attachment to this body, our relationships, our movable properties. So no matter how much chanting we do, can we all say that like we are detached with whatever our job, like we, some kind of attachment is always there. So the 10th offense most of us are doing. So even to experience the first rasa, the santa rasa, the steadfastness, so where is that? Like I can only speak about myself, but that's how I feel.
I think like it's like you say, it's like it's like stages, and we kind of flit sometimes in and out of them. Like for example, I remember like when I left everything to go to Vrindavan, it is true that there's a huge covering that gets lifted from you, and then the responsibilities become less. Or even now when I'm here, I don't think of my attachments like I once used to when I was like younger. Like before, if anyone had said anything, I was so like family, it was like I was so tightly knit in that. But now I can be amongst those people, but I'm not like that. I think Krishna loosens those grips a little bit for you. And then if you take another stage, but then the leap is, can you straight away go into a situation where you're always serving Krishna? And again, you need the help of other devotees that are more advanced than you, that have already made that leap. And then Krishna does help in lots and lots and lots and lots of different ways. But again, it's something that we don't do. It's the mercy. It's I think all of this, there is a high level of mercy involved in every single stage.
The causeless mercy. That's true.
It's causeless. Yeah. It's something that if we think about doing it, it's like, okay, then it's hard. It's not even hard, but sometimes it's like, it's we don't know how.
Impossible. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But when Krishna gives us that causeless mercy, or you get that mercy from a guru or from a saintly person or somebody that's on a higher platform, then it becomes like you don't think about it. It just kind of naturally happens. And then there's like the shackles, they kind of loosen a little bit, and then it doesn't feel so. But then there's the stage of anartha nivriti, which that I think that takes like probably the longest. But there is a point that even that, then it becomes a little bit looser. But that I think is something that we have more control over. And then Vaishnava Aparad, I mean, it's so like that again, it's such a big thing. Like, can we be so pure in thought for another Vaishnava? We can, until somebody rubs us up the wrong way. Then it's like, okay. And if it's a Vaishnava, you still think, oh, it's nothing. If you like that person, it's like nothing. But if you already have, if you have some sort of something against someone, then naturally you're going to look for those things which are going to not that are going to prove your point, so to speak. And then you get into the ego. And so I think it's a lot of causeless mercy. Like we have to, like you say, just everything takes time in this process. It's not something that we can just say, okay, we're there and then that's it. It's step by step, and then it's a process. It is a process, it's a journey. And then at each stage, I think we have to assess how far we've got. Like, they say that every Ekadashi to Ekadashi, how far have we got in these 15 days? How far have we got in these 15 days? Like, we have to, there has to be internal introspection. I don't know, like, because even, I mean, talking about these things is like so high level, but we still have to have, I think, individually we still have to have a pointer, because otherwise it's like, oh, you know, what's happening, like, you know, because there are changes, so many changes happen after you take up the spiritual life. Like, you're a completely different person, like even just moving from having a very material mindset to, and having, you know, having like all material goals, to then having no goal or a spiritual goal, or being introduced to concepts. And it's I think it's like, you, at each point we have to take stock of where we are. And then I think what Ratan Prabhu was saying is like the bhav, that is what's underpinning everything. The bhav is going on, and it's pushing us and pushing us and pushing us, because there is this because of the nature of the soul is to merge, or not merge necessarily, but to be in it wants to meet Krishna, because it's like a magnet. So when our mind stops, and our intelligence and everything, then the soul can start really looking for what it needs to look for. And then that then starts like pushing and pushing and pushing its way. And the desire of the soul, which is to be in a relationship with the super soul, that takes over. And then the nonsense in the mind goes, and all the other things kind of begin to like kind of get less and less and less. Because it's like, even though you might think, oh, you know, I want a nice car, whatever it is, you actually, you're not, there's a part of you that recognizes that's not really what I want. It's my soul is still pushing me, it's pushing towards finding what it needs to find. Because there will be a point when I don't know, I would just assume that there's a point where the body doesn't exist. I mean, the body doesn't matter. Well, I don't know how to speak about that, but there is a point where those things are kind of irrelevant. I don't know.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, you did a lovely discussion. Actually, sometimes we are telling is we need causeless mercy, but we have to understand causeless mercy is not coming suddenly. There is a behind some cause. Causeless
Yeah,
doesn't mean there will be something. Cause means even our lifetime, this lifetime, previous life, we have to do our past deeds should be something sukriti. If without any sukriti, maybe it is little thing, but God can give me a million times. So that means we have to do something. So causeless mercy is not really cause without cause. We have to do something. Maybe this lifetime or previous lifetime we did something. So we can see a little fraction of the eternal life, our journey, our maybe this lifetime, whatever in the good or bad, whatever the condition, we can see a little time, but we don't know whatever the 100 lifetimes before, whatever the million times lifetime before. So we don't know. But somehow we have some action. Some action could be spiritual action. So that means we have some, if some Sukriti is there, then we can get mercy from I mean as a Guru Krishna or devotees. So it is some arrangement. Its arrangement is should be coming not also suddenly. It is also we need also desire. If our desire is very strong, God will arrange, okay, you desire to come to my place, or he will think about how to arrange, how to go there, how to manage. That means we should have to desire. That is, we need spiritual life. We material life is enough. Lord Krishna, Maya Devi, Ma Durga. So you give Maya Devi is last yesterday it was mentioned. Yeah, it was a shade of Krishna. So is enough. We could not stay on the shade. We have to go to real. That a real is, if shade is there, what is the real? Real person is there. So real person is Lord Krishna. We have to follow Krishna, footstep of Krishna. and we have to follow scripture and sadhu sangha. So that means if we have a strong desire, then Krishna will arrange how to do that. And side by side, I have to mention sometimes in the Gopi Bhava is not easy to understand. Even Uddhava, Uddhava was thinking he was the best devotee. I mean, like he is actually best devotee. And in the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, you can read through very nice. What is the analogy? How it was described nicely. And when he met with the gopis, then their love of Krishna, then he realized I should be become as a grass in Vrindavan. I have no quality. Even Brahma was thinking I should have a, not in the Vrindavan, nearby Vrindavan, so that devotee can give their footstep on my head. So is the high level to understand what is the Gopi Bhava. It's not actually not easy to understand, means actually not easy to understand. Means is through our conception, material conception, we cannot. Is no word. Not understanding means no, there is no word. Is a real bhav, real mahabhava, prema we cannot express. So that means how much motherly love we can feel it. How mother love. So if we can think about our parents or our mother, how she loved. She gave everything for us. So there is no word for us. So similarly, if we love to Krishna, if we can give little thing, not everything, in this age of Kali, we can give even Shansita Mataji mentioned, because we have to do a special thing, then immediately we have to think about material thing. Yes, we have to maintain it. But in the meantime, we have to think about Lord Krishna. So that Krishna, we have to engage you. Even we are going far away to you, children are playing, going out of the home, but they will come back. So there will be some arrangement, because if we have some action to love, I mean, like love is your love to if little dedication, little sacrifice, little giving time. Because we are giving time, we have many things to do. But the main thing is if we are giving time, because we are discussing about Krishna Katha, love of. So that means it's very high level. So I went back to about Uddhava. Then Uddhava realized, oh, I was thinking I am the best, because it's a Krishna. He knows he heart of everyone. And Uddhava was thinking, even it was not presenting anywhere, but Uddhava realized, I was thinking I am the best. But now I realize I am nothing, even little particle of gopis. I am not. My love is very, very low. So that is why we have to read also Uddhava Gita, how the pure love of Krishna. Even Canto 10 is Gopi Bhav, Gopi, how they did. But 11 Canto is very high level of understanding. And the deep conversation about Uddhava and Gopis. And there is everything, how Asarja mentioned, how Asarja explained this commentary is very nice. So it's very highly is I mean, like, from not only one lifetime is difficult to understand. Yes, many lifetime we need many lifetime dedication as sadhana, sukriti, high level of devotee association. Then we can understand. We can understand little thing. And is understanding means is sweet, very condensed love. Yes, Shansita Mataji read today how the deep love is a condensed sweets. It is juice, is a sugar cane, is a little by little sweet is coming more and more. Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam Prativadam Purnash Amrita Ashadanam. Is Amrita, is a reality, real love. Then we can give up everything, all the material attachment we can give up. So it's coming. We have to need our action. We have to give our mind to Krishna. So that is very important. Hare Krishna.
And I think it goes back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also saying that he understands himself through Radharani's love, because even he doesn't understand it. So what to speak of like he, that's why he comes down, isn't it? Like as to experience, where is it? To experience her love through the person that loves him most. So even though it's his own energy, he also doesn't understand it I don't know, that's kind of like coming in my head now, because yesterday I was meditating on this so much that he needs, I suppose if we just put this in like really mundane terms, if, you know, when, I don't know, like if, say, for example, a husband and a wife, they need the other person to reciprocate, you know, or any relationship we have, like you could, you know, they need to understand, like, you know, like you hear, oh, what is it that you like about me? Because we can't see it, but that person can see it because it's a reflection. You don't, because you can't experience it because you're just you, kind of thing. And you need not an outside, but something, you know, like someone close to you to reciprocate that relationship back to you as a in the form of a mirror. And in the same way, this is what kind of Lord is doing, isn't it? Like he gets all this love, but he doesn't actually understand what the, you know, like there's, you know, the story about like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's like running after Jagannath Rath Yatra, and because he's in the bhav of Radharani, then he understands that this is the what she feels for me, or this is the attraction, or, you know, she's trying to stop the Rath, or it's he has to have her mood to understand what it feels like for himself to be loved. And that is so deep. I don't know, it's like the Lord doesn't understand something. Like he gets all this affection, but he doesn't understand why he is getting that affection. I don't know if that all makes sense, because I think I'm going crazy. I've been reading too much of this now.
No, it's very nice. Actually, he could not understand means it means he knows everything, but he could not understand. That means it's something deep, something another term, because there is no term, there is no terminology, there is no word to our way to express. Because he knows everything, how to love, and he came to become the mood of Radharani. But he could not understand means that is something high level. Because if he could not understand means how we can think about it.
No, but that's the whole point, is that he's come to give us the highest. He's
Yes.
actually distributing unalloyed love for God through her bhav, which they're giving to this world. That's the whole purpose of him appearing in the age of Kali, is to give us this, yeah, to give the whole of, you know, to give us all this. And now that's his like, you know, it says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that is his purpose, is that he wants to demonstrate, it's the practical demonstration of, so so I think it says somewhere that Gita and I don't know, where did I read this yesterday? I was trying to put this all in, like, I don't know where I read it, but
Yeah, Gauranga Mahaprabhu actually Gita Shastra and Niti Shastra. Niti Shastra, he is given Nyaya Shastra.
yeah,
It
this
was
bit,
Nyaya Shastra.
like
Yeah.
it says that the teachings in Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings are non-different.
Identical.
But Mahaprabhu actually showed us how practically to love. Like his whole purpose is to give us this love that Radharani feels for him. I'm just trying to make sense of this in my kind of practical head. And that's what he's come here to give, is that mellow of that's how the Radharani, who is his you know, best devotee, who is his, and who is actually himself also, that's what he is sharing with us. So he's come to give pure love of Godhead. That this is practically how to do it. So, for example, when we go to Rath Yatra, we feel that intensity or because he's showing us that is how, obviously we get glimpses of it, I suppose, that's why we feel so excited and so happy, and we just want to be there, and because that is the excitement, or I don't know, all these bhavs that Mataji was talking about earlier, like the ones we read about. This is the spiritual bliss that they're experiencing. And then when we do anything in a devotional way, or when we do a devotional activity, some of that excitement we also get. So otherwise, like when we, like we get some happiness, we get some benefit. Like, say for example, if I'm doing a service, naturally I'm getting some benefit from it. It's not that I'm asking for benefit, but the benefit is that we feel happy after doing it, or we feel like, something, we feel we feel a taste for it. That's why I don't know, it's not that's why we do it, but there is that, it's just there. So that we experience through coming out of doing material activity and doing more spiritual based activity, we naturally feel a little bit of what this what this is telling us about. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, Mataji, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's like Lord has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand the mood of the pleasure potency. That's the main thing. In the whole complexion, the mood of the pleasure potency. So, that's why it's so. It's very complicated. Unless we understand the whole philosophy behind it, it's to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not very easy. That's why the Pushti Marg and the Ballavacharyas, they don't they consider they consider Krishna, they understand Krishna or the Bal Gopal Swarup, the Vatsalya Swarup, but not as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They don't worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is beyond. To understand the Ladini Shakti, to understand it in a male body, but with a female mood, it's very, very complicated. That's why what we are saying, like we need to have, like as Ratan Prabhu mentioned, from one part of the reading where I was going through, it mentioned that there's so many millions and trillions of lifetime, and there are so many species. This certain people, they don't understand this, they don't understand that, and then there's some who understand the understand, they want to attain the Brahman realization, and he slowly narrows down to only a few certain percentage who can have that mercy to understand Krishna, or try to understand Krishna, to understand the transcendental bliss. And that, of course, is some Sukriti from past life to continue in this life. So even though it's causeless mercy, there must be Lord's hand and our karma from the karmic reaction, because that's why we see like some children, they're born so Krishna conscious and they start early, but depending upon their own past life activities, and some like develop later stage in life, and some just understand at the deathbed. So it's like that. So to understand this mood is not very easy, especially understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a blessing that we consider ourselves fortunate, I would say, to be able to understand, even if as a speck, like little, the deep bhavas. It's not easy, but even if we try to, like a mind mapping to understand, okay, this is this is that in our little mind. If we're trying to do a mind mapping to understand what it is, even that needs some Sukriti to be able to do that. Otherwise, look at you must have seen that message of Shibram Maharaj on that was circulating for Christmas. Like people are just become so commercial. The Christmas is a business, become like a 3 trillion or some kind of business where yeah, the trees are cut, the animals are sacrificed. Just did Jesus ask for all that? All he wanted was to forgive and love. So where is that message gone? So all these millions of people, they don't have that sukriti to understand even this little, little but deep. I mean, not little, but simple and deep philosophy. So only the blessed one do so. Is like I would take it that way. Even if we don't understand the whole, feel the mellow deep, the highest. Of course, highest we cannot even talk about it, but even some kind of mellow. But to understand it physically, also we in our mind, it needs some kind of sukriti. Yeah.
So maybe that's why Radharani is trying to pull everybody back because she knows. I don't know. The whole point is that we keep getting entangled. We keep coming back in this material world for whatever reason, and then because I don't know. This is me again, just talking, just trying to, like you say, mind map, like. Because Krishna, when he came down, obviously he did all his leelas, but he wasn't that interested in preaching, or he didn't propagate himself, I would say. Like if you read his leelas, it's like it was his leela. And then Radharani is because in this mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because she feels that, because obviously that to understand her would be even more complicated than even trying to. She's saying that through the chant, if you attach yourself to, if you take this love which is given, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving so freely, there's no expectation, anyone can do it. It's actually their love, or that's actually pulling the entities back, so we don't get caught up. I don't.
Yeah, Mataji, I heard a little pastime about this last year. So yeah, of course, basically he's come to give us the Yuga Dharma and just as like distribute it freely, because in earlier yugas where most of it was done by like Brahmanas, where they used to do such meditate. Not only Brahmanas, but to get some kind of austerity, they used to do. Even the demons and the demigods and everyone, they used to do long meditation, thousands of years, where they had longer life. And then it come to yagas, mostly done by the Brahmanas, and then it came to deity worship, that was also done by Brahmanas. But in this yug, it's Kali Yuga, everybody is like a nature, so everybody is being distributed. So that is Radharani, that's what he wanted, and that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing it. So the pastime was like, in like it was in Dwapar Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, when Krishna was there. I think one time Radharani, she came from Barsana to visit Vrindavan, and her Nand Maharaj, he had invited Radharani to come and stay there for 1 week or so, and then she stayed there, and then he saw that some thing was being distributed, some kind of prasadam, and there was some festival and some kind of prasadam was being distributed. So some festival at Nand Maharaj's house. So the rule was like everybody has to bring their own container. So because there were so many thousands of people, so they had to bring their own container to get the prasadam. So if suppose somebody is standing in the queue and they realize they did not have any bowl container to take the prasadam, then they go back to the queue, get the bowl, and then stand in the queue again and get late getting the prasadam. So Radharani, she was watching it. So and then okay, this happened, and then she went home. back to Barsana. So then her dad, he's asking like, how was your like trip to Vrindavan? Did you enjoy it and all? So he said, yeah, everything was nice, very nice. I was like served very nicely and all. And then he asked, then she said that there was something which I did not like. So that was like, prasadam was being served and everybody had to get their own container. So then this was conveyed to Maharaj by his dad, by her dad. Yeah. So when Nand Maharaj came to know, and then Krishna heard about it, and then when Krishna and Radharani met, so Krishna promised to Radharani that so you're not happy that there are restrictions done even to get prasadam. So next, when I come in the next life, nobody needs a bowl, nobody needs to bring anything, everything will be distributed freely. And that's what is Mahaprabhu did, like distributed the Sankirtan movement, door to door movement freely, just without any condition applied, and to everyone, even to fallen souls, to the Maharajas, the kings, and the types of Jagai Madha and everybody. So that's what Radharani's wish was. So that's why it's done. Like, this is related to the pastime, but yeah, of course, Krishna wanted to understand the mood of his pleasure potential. So that's why, like, so yeah, they all culminate why he took this avatar. So yeah, that just wanted to share that.
It's so beautiful. Like, I think when we start reading, it just opens up so much. It just opens up so much more, and we feel like the mercy also much more.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, just another comment. Lord Krishna gave his knowledge, actually absolute knowledge, in 5,000 years before. And then Lord Krishna came, Mahaprabhu, 500 years before. He gave knowledge again. And now, 50 years before, his pure devotee came, Srila Prabhupada, and giving us knowledge. Even though all kind of knowledge given, showing his mission, everything, even who is not following him, only this place, I mean, like in Bengal people, they are not following. They are manufacturing other things. So they are ignoring this thing. Even this is also college. We are very sad, because our association, our people, our community, many people, they are ignoring. They are following other things. So this is also, we are understanding how college is doing. What is the knowledge? How the knowledge is going down and down, declining. So that is even recent Prabhupada giving everything is Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna's mission. Even people are not following. So this is very sad. We have to understand also very deeply. So even who are coming in this umbrella of Krishna consciousness, I know there's we can do many devotees, but not question of devotee. Our purpose is to get the taste of Krishna consciousness, get of the love of what is the love of Lord Krishna, and how system is going on is higher taste. So that we can follow the scripture through the scripture, even Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this is you are coming, the teaching of Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the end also, we have to follow also nectar of devotion. Then we have to go to even Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Is very important, very correlated. We have to go through also. Then we can. How long it will take? I know that even this life we can try, but is the ending is not a question. But we have to try, make our mission, make our plan. My point is again that is how is very amazing to understand. Not easy to understand. Krishna came as a Mahaprabhu, as a devotee, and his another devotee coming to preach in the Western countries. Even though in the Bengal people or Indian people, a lot of people, they are not following. So it's very Who are following is they are very fortunate one, but who are not following, they are very, very, very unfortunate soul. Hare Krishna.
Mm. I think it's easier, like it's easier to kind of, it's easier to sense Krishna's pastimes, like the Raj pastimes, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, it's very deep, isn't it? Like the intricacies, it's the internal, like with Krishna, it's the action and it's the, oh, you know, he goes and defeats this demon and that demon, and you know, we can see that he's being like, you know, that he's kind of helping society, and we can kind of, I think as human beings, we can relate to some of these, you know, he's got a horrible uncle, and you know his uncle's like this, and then you know he does this and he does this, and you know, and then there's love involved, and I think as humans we can sort of understand some of that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's because it's inside, even though it was probably inside Krishna as well. It's that this whole mood is an internal mood, which is so much more. It's like, you know, if a person's got a physical disability, we can see it and we're likely to help them and be nice to them because we can see that, you know, there's something physically not correct. But then if someone's got, say, something like dementia or mental health or something, we can't physically see it. The person just looks normal. And therefore we can't relate to it. It's harder to talk to someone with a mental health illness. It's harder to talk to someone with dementia because even though the disability is there, we can't physically see it. And in the same way, it's like in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar, it's like everything is going on internally. It's the internal bhav, it's the internal. So we can't, obviously there's the external lila that's going on that, you know, like we saw so much of yesterday. So we kind of see that, you know, he went to, like, you know, he in the same way that Krishna has his leelas, he has, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has his leelas also, but that's not the main thing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like he's preaching something that is like he goes to school, he you know, he's an amazing at these are kind of, again, normal things, normal activities that a person might do, like he, you know, as a brahmana might do or something. But then he then after his sannyas, that's when he starts actually showing his you know, when he displayed his more, you know, godly roop. And so even that, you know, that's him beginning to show his more, you know, Ishvara roop. But then he still goes back to something that's normal, like spreading the name, Sankirtan. And then he does things that are so unusual, like this renunciation at such a young age, like where we see that in Ram Leela at, you know, at a later stage, or we see that even in Krishna, you know, in Krishna Leela he renounced it, you know, obviously he lives, well, Raj. So but then, you know, his opulences are beginning to show, and then he's guiding. It's a different, it's different to what Krishna did. Krishna defended and he protected and he established his dharma, whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just taught how to love. And I think I don't know, it's deep. You know how, like what you said, Chaitanya Charitamrita is a very postgraduate study. It's very deep because it's about the internal more than even though everything is about the internal, even, you know, Bhagavad Gita is about the internal, but this is on a deeper, much, and like even Bhagavad Gita, like, you know, Krishna, Arjun, they're, you know, Arjun surrendering to him. He's already got a relationship with him. But he's surrendering to him. I don't know what to do. Help me. You know, you're my guru. Help me. And then Krishna does all what he does then, but it's still informative. Krishna's showing his love, but not in the same way as he's showing it in Chaitanya, in the Chaitanya avatar. And I think there's parallels to be made in each of his different avatars, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar seems so much more intense, so much more deep, that some people can't understand it. I think that's the only reason why, because it is so deep, it's not easy to understand how. Like, I was just thinking, like, in schools we have, like, there's people that are nowadays saying that they have a female body, and they're thinking like they're a man inside, or they have a male body and they're thinking they're a female. And I know that that's just, I don't know what that is really in material, but in the spiritual we actually can see that he has a male body with the emotions of a female. So I think it's that people find that difficult to understand, and maybe that's why people don't. I don't know what I don't know. I have not. I mean, every time I've seen anyone in Bengal, they love Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the mood is. I think when you go to Vrindavan, the mood is so hyper. Like, you can feel Krishna's mood, you can feel the gopis' moods, you can feel all the love there quickly. When you go to Mayapur, I think it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he was a sannyasi. His mood is much more subtle there, and it's Odhari. Like, he's much more. Even offenses are. He doesn't take account of offenses, and the mood, it grows on you. It's really subtle, but when you leave that mood, it's like you feel like you're going crazy because you need it. Like, you don't, it creeps, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kind of creeps up on you, whereas Vrindavan mood is like all, it's there, it's kind of in your face, you can't move away from it. And in the more subtler the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's so difficult. I think if you stay in Mayapur for, like, because you feel that energy of my Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so much deeper, it's something that creeps on you. Because I didn't even know who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was until Srila Prabhupada, really, until the books. So whereas Krishna, we always know Krishna's there. It's easy to kind of, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on the other hand, it's such a deep, even to Chaitanya, it's deep. The whole, it's more secretive. It's something that grows on you, but it's something that once you have it, you can never leave it. Once you, even like if you feel a little bit of Mahaprabhu's mood, like especially in that space, like that's how I originally experienced it. It's difficult to then kind of move away from it, and it's something that it stays with you, and it's something that is still difficult even to understand. Where Krishna Lila, it's easy to understand. Oh, a girl loves you can kind of conceptualize it even in a material sense. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's case, you have to go deep, 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 deep. And I think it's, like even like Mayapur, it's like Radharani, she created those groves. Even to understand something like that, it's like, okay, like we can understand Vrindavan, it comes from, Golok, Vrindavan, it's a part of Golok, and Krishna came to do his Leela there, and Navadvip is non-different. So it's the same, it holds the same potency, but the moods are different, 100%. Like, it's like it's like the same, but completely different. And I think maybe people have difficulty. I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not so familiar with the culture there, but the bhav, it's so easy. I mean, there was a lady in Mayapur, and she wasn't part of ISKCON, but they kind of live on the compound. And when she was talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was like, like reading out of a, like Jaiva Dharma or something. It was like her bhav was so developed. It was so fruitified. She started crying just talking about Mahaprabhu. It's like, and I was just like, wow, like she was so absorbed in the bhav, and even when you meet Vrajval, it, like you say, it takes lifetimes. I can't comprehend it. I don't know how to. It's something that's very deep, and you have to surrender to it. Like the whole surrendering. Where is that process? It was there somewhere. You have to surrender to it, and then I even that I just don't. The more you do the devotion, the more you reject things that are not. That you believe in Lord's protection, that we depend on the Lord, that we have no separate interest from the Lord, and that we're quite meek and humble. I mean, maybe that's how, and some of those people don't understand this, because everybody is in Ishvara, they want to be God, isn't it? They want to be the controller. And then this is so deep. I don't know. It's just too deep to even understand. And even this fact, I mean, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I was reading this yesterday over